You know how we've been big on the like anti-Ruroid arc lately? Look at this phrenological specimen at the top of the Associated Press article. The photographer for the press knew exactly what they were doing with this one. A group of pro-Trump protesters in front of Alligator Alcatraz. I know, right? I know, right? It's like, whew. Oh man, that makes it easy. It feels good to hate, doesn't it? You know, right in here, it's like, you know, you have 1,000 real arguments, but you don't even need to go to those, do you? I look forward to respecting driving laws around these people when GTA 6 comes out. Driving responsibly. Lawmakers were allowed a tour of Vosh pro-Trump protesters in front of Trump's facility. What are they protesting? Well, it's like when they did lynchings and people would show up to take pictures with like the black guy who was hanging, basically. So I guess not protesters, supporters. It's legal to keep driving through protesters in Florida. You're not wrong. I'm calling them protesters for legal reasons. Anyway, a state-arranged tour of the new Everglades Immigration Detention Facility took place today. Actually, right now, Maxwell Frost is live talking about it.
Just bust everybody out of there.
What's up?
I also have the organization doing all the medical work there as well. See, they did not let us see the medical area. The reason this is important is allowed to go see the medical area. The staff said that.
Okay, this is a rebroadcasting of a Zoom call that he had driving back from the facility. So it's not live properly, but it's recent, like very recent.
Because of HIPAA, they can't show us it. That is a complete lie. I have done an unannounced visit to an immigrant detention facility before. I went to Baker. In Baker, I was able to see everything I wanted to see. The medical area, where they eat, everything. I was able to see everything I wanted to see. They did not let us see the medical area. The reason this is important is obviously we want to make sure that there's good medical care, especially given the fact that in the Everglades, there's the hot sun, there's bugs everywhere, all of this going on. But also in many of these facilities, the medical unit is oftentimes used as the segregation unit for different people, or a unit of isolation. We're unable to see that.
Boomer operating the goddamn Zoom
cages, call. They wouldn't let us go into the actual tent. They let us stand at the door. They opened the door. There was about 6 security guards standing there kind of pushing us back, but we could see in and we could hear everybody. And when
they didn't even let you see anything then? They didn't even let you in the tents? They just let you like peek in through the door?
Doors open. You know, what I saw made my heart sink. I saw 32 people per cage, about 6 cages in the one tent. I saw a lot of people, young men who looked like me and people who were my age. People were yelling, "Help me, help me." I heard in the back someone say, "I'm a U.S. citizen." And as we were walking away, they started chanting, "Libertad, libertad, libertad, freedom." And in looking into these cages, you could see, of course, it was warm and hot within the tent. People were sweating. Some people had taken off the top of their clothing because it was just so hot. Some of them were drenched in sweat. The food we saw is not enough food. They're being fed essentially a small sandwich and a bag of chips. And not just that, but the conditions outside, of course, it's blazing hot. And the fact that
So it's a concentration camp. It is unambiguously a concentration camp. That's not remotely the camps we had down at the border during the child separation, like the camps that we built to facilitate the first Trump term policies, were also concentration camps. But these are concentration camps in the most like straightforward, like textual definition. Like you don't need to stretch any lines or anything. It's just, yeah. We're doing Japanese internment except without a war this time. Well, listen, not to compare two bad bitches or anything, but I think the character of what's happening right now is potentially quite a bit worse. Not to say that what happened with the Japanese wasn't monstrous, but like the character of the internment, the way it's taking place, the tone of the administration, which is overtly like genocidal.
The cage comes from the toilet. Number one, not everyone's going to be able to drink as much water as they'd like to because of that inconvenience, but also it's gross and it's disgusting. And this is where people are being held.
Wait.
And the fact that the cage comes from the toilet. Number
What?
For one, not everyone's going to be able to drink as much water as they'd like to because of that inconvenience, but also it's gross and it's disgusting. And this is where people are being held. I came to this tour with a binder.
Vosh, the Japanese were literally in concentration camps. I know that. I'm not disputing the fact that the Japanese were in concentration camps at all. Those were also definitionally concentration camps, 100%.
Full of questions. There are questions in this binder. They have accounts of people in the detention facility in the binder. And I also have some names of a few constituents or people who have family members that are constituents. And my intention was to go speak with these individuals. We were denied the ability to speak with any of the detainees there, but I was told by the staff with notice I would be able to meet with whomever I want to meet with. Another question that many local organizers, lawyers, and family had: under what authority are they keeping people in this facility? Is it a state facility or is it a federal facility? We had state legislators go to the internment camp last week, and they were denied entry, essentially being told, well, it's more of a federal facility. We were planning.
That's actually a really good point, because federal funds have been appropriated, but this was officially handed off to the state. This is a federally funded state project. But if that's the case, state officials should be able to visit at will. Like, I mean, members of Congress have the right to visit federal officials anyway, because if you're a member of Congress, you have the ability to exercise oversight over federal facilities. You're literally a federal lawmaker. But state officials have been denied entry to the camp. It's like an illegal gray zone. Well, it's not an illegal gray zone. They're just breaking the law. Like, unambiguously, they're creating this. This is what I mean about how terrifying this is. The people in these camps could disappear and no one would know. They built them there so journalists can't access it. They didn't even want to show Frost or the other people the inside of these tents. You've got people screaming, you know, I'm a citizen, help, help, so on. And if you're selectively denying both federal and state officials the ability to access it. Hey, what's that? Is that a top secret call to action that isn't part of a live stream? Yes, and you're special for seeing it. I want you guys to phone back. I know that it can be exhausting keeping up with the news. I try to make it more palatable because I deliver it. I'm funny, the funniest guy alive, maybe. But unfortunately, consuming information in a way that you find humorous doesn't actually like change the world or fix the problems you're hearing about. It just makes you feel smart for knowing about them, which, I mean, if you're satisfied with that, that's kind of part of the problem on our side, right? Progressive Victory is doing a last-second phone bank, blitz of phone banking for the lovely Dea Fox, one of a number of young Gen Z Democratic progressives. She's been doing a wonderful job. She's basically like surged in the polls, got a bunch of money, has been using her history as one of the campaign strategists for Kamala Harris. Yeah, she's got a little bit of an inside touch with the DNC. You need the phone bank right now. Phone bank, or you're an idiot. You can sign up with Progressive Victory. Look at that. They've got a website. It's called progressivevictory.win because they like winning. Listen, the link's down below. You know where to click if you want to do this, okay? I know you have free time. I know you want the world to be better than it is, so please give it a try, okay? You just join up, you sign up with the Discord, you give your info and phone number, you join the Discord, and there are people there, they're running phone banks. They're running it right now as I record this. The election's only in a few days, okay? And there's a decent shot Fox could win. And while I'm at it, you know, I know a lot of folks donate to me. You're very kind. PV needs money to pay their organizers, and they are doing actual work. You've heard all this from me before, okay? But how many times did you have to be told to clean your room before you actually did it? How many times have you been told that your life would be better if you set a consistent sleep schedule and if you exercised regularly and went on walks, and you still haven't done it? But it would still be better for you if you did. You can still make your life better, and you can still make the world better, okay? Take it seriously. Give it a try. Links in the description and the stinger.
An unannounced trip this morning, and somehow the state caught wind of it and decided to invite us to come instead. We know that the reason they invited us is because they wanted it to be an announced trip so they could clean stuff up. But I can tell you, even though they had time to get stuff together and clean things up and make the conditions quote unquote better, the cage is still a cage. The conditions are still bad. They
need to be sent with marshals. I understand this is extreme, but like this is getting ridiculous. They're building concentration camps and keeping people from going in. A judge needs to authorize marshals to accompany state and federal officials. They need to go in with 20 men and say, like, if you stop us, like, you are getting arrested. Like the camp, the Auschwitz guards they have, at the camp are not going to risk arrest or death over stopping like a member of Congress backed by marshals. There's no way. They are not paid to do that, okay? True, but how do you make that happen in Florida? It doesn't matter. Just judge has to authorize it. They just have to get the marshals. Issue is marshals are under the DOJ, so they just won't. Yeah, but like the DOJ doesn't directly control all the marshals. They're like under the purview, but a lot of people are under the executive branch, you know? And if they did do that, by the way, like that would be its own line in the sand, right? Like if the Department of Justice is like, nope, no marshals allowed, no judge can allow marshals to accompany any lawmakers entering these facilities, no one allowed, then that's like eventually you have to start calling these bluffs, because otherwise they'll get away with anything. They will kill these people and throw them into the marsh. Like you don't know law is over until you challenge it.
Not allow us to look at the they are using right now. They brought us into a brand new cage that they had just built that they're hoping they can get online in the next week, but they wouldn't let us go into the actual to see the actual toilets that the people are using. When I asked why, they said, well, it's to keep us safe, but they were in the cage. And I think it's because they didn't want us to see the important condition.
And yeah, if the marshals are difficult, get private security. There are members of Congress with more than enough money to marshal private security. If a member of Congress has the right to inspect the facility, they could absolutely make the argument that their guards do too. 100%. That's not at all out of line. And if they say no, then you say, well, then make me. It's their authority. You're a member of Congress. You have authority. You're not just a guy.
Of the toilets and the bathrooms. We've heard reports even from constituents that are in the facility.
To be clear, I'm not talking about Maxwell Frost here. A move like that would have to be done with like real authority. I think a senator, a junior congressman, like trying to buy up private security and go in, that would be unwise. You would need to move with some real like muscle, essentially.
That even though there's 3 bathrooms, oftentimes only one of the toilet is working. We've heard multiple reports of backup of the toilets being backed up and feces being essentially sprayed everywhere. So all in all, every Floridian should be ashamed of the fact that our taxpayer money is being used for this internment camp where people are in horrible conditions.
Concentration camp.
In the hot Florida sun. And we said this before I said it before I got there, and I say it even louder now. The other thing I'll say is, we were able to ascertain that essentially this is a facility that is operated by the state. The state is using their Office of Emergency Management to run the whole operation. This is the same office and staff that are supposed to help us when there's a hurricane. And we're in hurricane season now. It's a gross misuse of resources to dehumanize immigrants and dehumanize people who were all...
Any senator on the Appropriations Committee literally has top secret security clearance because they can do... No, for sure. Like people, it's just important to remember that these aren't regular people, okay? Maxwell Frost is closer to being a regular person, but there are Democratic members of the Senate who could just march on a facility if they wanted to. It's not an exaggeration. That's not LARP. They have the clearance necessary to do that. And if they wanted to bring security, they could do it. And if people said, no, you're not allowed, they would say, yes, I am. And that would be that. So why aren't they doing that? Because they still think that there is a way out of this but through. At the end of the game, or sorry, at the end of the day, politics is a game. And if you are willing to put your nuts on the table and the other guy isn't, you win. Okay? It's all bluffs. The fascists will always win as long as they're more daring than you. Okay? But if you show up with a private security force and demand entry with a bunch of cameras behind you, that's that. And if they fight you on that, then it's civil war. If a member of I mean, honestly, any senator, but Senate Appropriations Committee was denied or shown violence because they tried to exercise their legally enshrined right to oversee federal facilities with security present, then that would be like an actual re-secure the National Guard, form a line around the border of the blue states type of moment. Yeah.
Latino men in this facility. So, my heart is broken leaving this place. It's very emotional to see people caged like that, to see humans caged like that at a time where we have such wealth inequality in this country, where the president just signed a bill that's going to take away healthcare from 2 million Floridians, 17 million people in this country, taking away nutritional assistance, doing nothing to help with the cost of housing, all of these issues. And what's happening, the governor of this state is using our taxpayers.
Well, members of Congress have the right to oversee federal facilities. They do. the clearance would just excise any excuse the state could use. They would still say, like, that's okay. You heard Maxwell Frost say it earlier. You heard him say it earlier that the Florida government caught wind of the fact that a bunch of lawmakers wanted to see the camp, so they invited them and made it a tour. That's because they know they can't stop him. If Maxwell Frost wanted to, he could turn the car around right now at this point in the video and go back for a round two. He could stay there for as long as he wanted to. He has the right to oversight. They know they have to give them viewing, but when they do shit like, say, you can't see the medical facilities, or no, you can't go inside, you're just going to peer in, that's when you, as a member of Congress, say, bullshit, I'll see whatever the f I want to. And then you push past them with your security team. That's your right. You have the right to do that. Stop me. It's not aura farming. It's legally their right. Wouldn't this give them a lot of street cred too? I mean, genuinely, like, this is one of the reasons why I'm surprised more stuff like this hasn't happened. It would be amazing for your career. Gavin Newsom realized this. That's why Trump and Homan were threatening to arrest Newsom. Newsom said, do it, pussy. And they said, we won't. Because he understood that if he got arrested, he would be our next president. He would be the 48th, you know? Any congressperson who essentially used force to legitimize their legal right to federal oversight, like, if that turned nasty, if they got arrested for it, they would be a national hero.
Your money for a stunt. And it's not a stunt with 0 victims. It's a stunt that is using humans. And I'm going to continue to...
I don't like this also. It's not a stunt. Like, Auschwitz wasn't a stunt. It's just the thing. Like, the concentration camps are the point of the thing. They're not, like, they like to showboat over it, but a stunt implies that it's not real, like a stunt actor, right? It's real. They're building concentration camps and throwing people in them without due process, with like masked Gestapo who'll go from neighborhood to neighborhood and kill and arrest people without impunity, or with impunity, sorry.
Right, for the dignity and respect of immigrants in this country who are not poisoning the blood of this nation, but are a part of the nation. I'm the proud son of a Cuban refugee. I will be back to this facility at a time and a date of my own choosing. I don't need permission from anyone to go into that facility, which is a facility.
What is Vosh what is Vosh talking about? They would arrest that senator. That's what Ross Baraka did. Ross Baraka was not a member of Congress. He was the mayor. He didn't have the authority, so that's why they arrested him and didn't go after the Democratic congresswoman who was with him. Vosh is forgetting what happened when they tried already. They didn't. At that facility in Newark, the 2 Democratic congresswomen, they tried some bullshit, oh, she assaulted an ICE officer stuff, which is why you need to go with security, so they form a protective ring around you. But they didn't. They went after Baraka because he was a mayor. He didn't have the federal authority of oversight. They did, which is why they didn't go after it. They know there are consequences to really going after a member of Congress. You need to exercise that power. What's the point of having this power? Like, so you make up 49% of the government instead of the 51%, and that means you have no authority whatsoever? That's not how it works. Remember back in the early days of this administration, I guess that was just a few months ago, when a bunch of Democratic members of Congress rolled up to that building that had been closed by Doge? Remember? There was a private security guard, not anyone with any federal authority, but a private security guard guarding it, and they all just stayed there. You know, they could have just, like, gone in the building, right? That was a federal office. They're members of Congress. They could have just gone in. If it was locked, they get security to break it open. They shouldn't dirty their hands with it, because that would make things more complicated for them. Oh, you're locking the door? You don't have the authority to do that. I actually can go in. I can do whatever the f I want, actually. One private security guard is enough to stop a bunch of Democratic Congress people? Ridiculous. Get security. Every single Democratic member of Congress should have a security firm working with them, or multiple. When the Trump administration tries to block you from something, from doing something that is legally your right, they take the heat. That's what they're paid for, okay?
Facility where they get the direction from ICE. So that's what I have to say, and we'll open it up for questions.
Michael Jones, I'll go ahead and pass it to you first.
Hey, Congressman, it's Michael Jones from Once Upon a Hill. Good to see you. Hope you're doing all right. Thanks for doing this. I wanted to ask, I know that the center is, stood up by the state, but it's in partnership with DHS. And so I'm wondering, since we're in appropriations...
The most up thing about that happening in DC, by the way, is what do you think would happen to anyone who was arrested for obstructing a congressman in their legal right to exercise federal oversight, what do you think would happen to anyone arrested? Do you have any idea what the judge circuit is like in DC? Do you have any idea how dem-aligned those judges are? Any private security officer who got thrown to them, who the AG went after them and they got thrown to the circuit, they would be sent to the goddamn mines. Okay? We don't even have words for the shit they would be sentenced to, okay? You have so much power. The only lesson that I've gotten from this, honestly, is that most Democrats genuinely don't know what to do if somebody tells them they can't do a thing they can legally do. Like, if you're in your house and you're chilling and a guy breaks in and they say, get out of my house, in America, you can shoot them. Maybe in other pussy countries you can't, but in America, if a guy breaks into your house and demands you leave, you can just draw a firearm and end their life. I think a Democratic congressperson would just leave the house. Not legal advice. I mean, you can check the law, but if a person breaks into your house, you have pretty wide discretion. Congresswoman Maxine Waters tried to force her way into the ICE detention center in LA, but they pulled the door shut. Yeah, you need security. That's exactly what I mean. Like, what do you...
No, I want you to... Hello. Congresswoman Waters, I just came to use my congressional authority to check on David.
Ma'am, we're lobbying security now to all visitors.
Excuse me, I need to get in.
She's not a visitor. She's a congresswoman with congressional oversight. The answer here is move or you'll be arrested. Here are my marshals.
Public apparel.
I need to get in.
Like, ridiculous. Like, what's the point of having power? Genuinely, what the point of having power? Like, yeah, like you could have any power you want on paper. And yeah, if you give up when people just close doors on you, then you don't actually have any power. Power's been centralized, my dude. No, it hasn't. They still have this power. A fat closing the door in your face doesn't legally override your congressional oversight powers. Why would you think that? You do. Oh, sorry, he countered. That's the rock and that's the paper. That guy's breaking the law. Arrest him. Toss him to the most liberal judge in the circuit. 1,000 years in the salt mines.
What are you hoping to do, Congresswoman?
I just want to see David Werta. Right, 6, 7.
Would a congressperson normally be able to enter the...
Normally, yes.
Well, sorry, a guy closed the door in your face. He exercised a power demonstrated by any human being with arms. Clearly, the power of Congress, being a senior congresswoman, you know, there's no... It's impossible to overcome.
What is happening here?
Well, there were some of the authorities, I don't know who they were.
We were willing to do anything to fight for our constituents, but the opposing party just closing a door in our face to prevent us from exercising our legal authority? Sorry. Yeah, we don't really have a counter to that one.
And I'm trying to get in to see David Werta, who they have arrested. He is the head of SEIU local union here. I don't know why he was targeted. I don't know what they're doing with him. I don't know whether they're going to deport him. I want to report back.
You don't hate Democrats enough, guys. I'm telling you, you do not hate Democrats enough. Notice how her first response to this really was to just cry to the camera rather than to say, this is illegal, I will have you arrested. She's too old for this? Yeah, definitely.
And the DHS bill just made it out of committee and will probably come to the floor before August recess. Do you have any plans beyond oversight and public accountability to, I guess, introduce any amendments? Is there any legislation in the works? I know you're limited in what you can do in the minority, but just how are you looking forward to using your federal, kind of the federal power that you have and the coalitions that you have in Congress to continue to kind of use every lever, a legislative lever of power you have to create the change you're trying to see?
Yeah, I appreciate the question.
I think Vosh is too unintelligent to piece together the "I'll have you arrested" means nothing when the police support Trump's policies. I don't understand why you feel the need to construct realities to justify your weakness. Like, why can't you just realize you have more power than you actually do? For one, cops aren't the only people who can conduct arrests. For two, like, you can bring marshals or you can just order arrests. You're in Congress. Like, you have power, dude. You can have a private security firm, Maxine Waters has the money, and just go in there and just block people from blocking you. And if they do anything to impede the security officers or you, they're impeding a member of Congress from exercising their duties. She could break the door down Why not? You really think a member of Congress can't marshal any legal authority? Like, oh no, every cop's pro-Trump. Come the on. You've already lost then. You've built a world where you don't have to put any effort in because you think there's no point. These armed gentlemen are just my staff. Yeah, you can do that. You're allowed to do that. Also, that was in California. You really think they couldn't get state police? Like, the big incidents we're talking about have been in California and DC. You really don't think there are any law enforcement officers in either of those areas that would be willing to come along with a congressperson to aura farm and exercise their, like, anything? Nothing at all?
There's a few things. Number one is obviously our ability to conduct oversight. We know that it is in the law that members of Congress cannot be stopped from entering these detention facilities. And part of the thing I really wanted to ascertain here was, is this a federal?
Vosh is wrong about all this. Legally, they can't arrest the federal agents. Yeah, they can. Nor would private, you can arrest whoever you want. They don't mind. Nor would private security be allowed in the grounds. Sure, just say they are. Make them stop you. Why the do you think they get away with so much? How can you watch them break the law over and over and then you act like a pussy when it comes to your powers? It's the Wild West. Like, time after time, you see them do whatever the they want. You're like, oh, I didn't realize they could do that, when all they had to do was just do it. And then you're like, well, we can't just do the thing. Yes, you can. Get a group of sheriffs or state policemen, anyone who will work with you, anyone who stops you, arrest them. Throw them in the drunk tank. It doesn't matter if the AG presses charges. But they should. Impeding a member of Congress, yeah, we'll toss like 50 charges on there. Oh, they'll fight it. Then let them fight it. The Trump administration can barely manage the court cases they're already settled in. How do you think they're going to handle 100,000 charges against their ICE agents? Seriously, you really think the DOJ has the people necessary to fight those cases? They're going to be going to public defenders for ICE agents, okay? It'll be great. Long Beach police arrested and charged a Border Patrol agent just a few days ago. They're not immune. They're not gods. Why do you all want to just roll over and show your belly? They're just regular people. That fat thumb who closed the door in Maxine Waters' face is just a guy. He's just a guy. You could go in there with private security and a few sheriffs and just arrest him if he blocks you. It's a crime. She has a legal right to be there. He's just a guy. 18 USCS 111 makes assaulting a federal officer punishable up to 8 years in prison. Who said assault? Yeah, if you assault them, don't assault them. If they block you from exercising your legal right, that's another thing. You can arrest members of the federal. You can arrest federal officers if they commit crimes. You're allowed to do that. Also, please God, the more beefing there is between federal and local police, the better.
Facility in which it's just operated by the state. And so we are within our bounds to show. I could show up tomorrow, I could show up the next day, and they have to let me into the facility. I'm going to continue to do that as well. We actually heard reports from many immigrants that are within the facility that said, well, yesterday out of nowhere, they let us take a shower. They hadn't let us take a shower all week.
Try them with resisting arrest? Yeah, dude, try every ICE officer who remotely impedes a Democratic member of Congress with resisting arrest. You give them 2 seconds to get the out of your way, and if they don't, they get arrested. If they fight, that's resisting arrest. Congratulations. DOJ, handle those cases. Yeah, hey, DOJ, hey, Pam Bondi, you have to send 5,000 more lawyers to manage these cases. You do realize that a lot of these AGs and judges operating, federal appointed AGs are often Hitlerites, but the state charges that these guys would be getting are overseen by people who are not fans of Trump. Like the judges and AGs operating on municipal and state levels, do you have any idea how much fun they would have tearing into federal agents that get arrested for impeding a Democratic member of Congress's legal right to oversee these concentration camps? They would be torn limb from limb. Oh, not to mention the time they would spend in jail, because not all of them would get out on bond. Just statistically speaking, some of them would stay in there. And that would be fun. I bet the ICE agents that impede the next member of Congress looking to exercise oversight would be a little more careful, considering the fact that some of their compatriots have been thrown in the slammer for breaking the law. Make them fear the consequences of breaking the law. Stop rewarding them for breaking the law. Stop telling them it's okay. Stop permitting it. Stop excusing it. Stop saying that there's nothing you can do about it. They broke the law.
Yesterday out of nowhere, the food, got a little better. than it's been before. And of course, all of this is in connection to the tour we were doing. That's why these visits from elected officials are so important in helping to see what's going on, but also help with the conditions on the ground. In terms of our oversight ability, I'm going to be speaking with our brand new ranking member, Robert Garcia, about seeing how we can use our ability to do shadow ad hoc hearings.
Trump has unquestionable power of pardon. Federal pardons, and that's for convictions, not for state or municipal, and not for ongoing cases. Irrelevant. Stop being weak.
Shine an even bigger light on the human rights issues and on the important conditions within this facility and within facilities across the country. And we hopefully will have more on that very soon, and on that conversation soon. We're also going to be looking at, and I'm unsure if it'll be via amendment or legislation, and we gotta I just came out of this facility and I have a lot more ideas around it. And so we'll keep everybody updated, but we will use every tool we got as members of Congress, whether it's through the appropriations process, filing legislation, or doing ad hoc hearings, continue to conduct the oversight visits. We're going to do everything we can because what I saw today, like I said before, broke my heart, and everyone should be very pissed off about the fact that our money is being used for an internment camp in the middle of the Everglades.
Thank you so much.
What state law would be broken? Federal agents would be impeding a member of Congress from overseeing these facilities. There are a million things that could be charged. It's happening in a state. If you have state officers with you, people who could bring charges, state charges against them, there's a million things that you could bring them. Who the cares, dude? Cops love making up charges. Let these Trump-hating attorney generals have fun with it. It's a creative writing exercise. I agree, but it's Florida, dog. Yes, in Florida, you probably wouldn't be able to find as many sympathetic AGs and judges, though you still would find some. Keep in mind that a lot of these judges were, they took power before Florida was even a red state. That being said, that doesn't change the fact that you still have the legal authority to go through. You bring your whoever you need, your marshals, your sheriffs, your private security, and you do whatever the you want. You have a legal right to be there. It is illegal to block them from doing the oversight. They have a legal right to be there.
What's Congressman?
Jess Craven, I'll go ahead and pass it to you next.
Thanks. Hi, Congressman Frost. Thank you so much for doing this, especially after what must have been a very, very emotional, I can't even imagine. Thanks for being here. These are very nuts and bolts questions. Do you know how many people are there? Is the gender breakdown, is it all males? And are they from all over the country, or are they all from Florida?
There's just under 1,000 people there right now. Their goal is to get to 4,000 capacity, 4,000 beds by August, in a couple weeks here. They're going to be adding an additional 1,000 beds to it.
States have a lot of follow-on charges to most federal laws / misconduct. Yeah, please do not believe the bullshit that there's nothing state AGs could do to charge you. For one, the cops aren't the ones who issue charges. The cops can arrest you for any reason they want, okay? If you're in California and you get some sheriffs or members of the highway patrol with you and you march in, you can arrest people. They'll arrest people for fun. They love it. I lived in LA. I've seen what they do. They love arresting people. The charges, let the attorney general sort that out. And trust me, they're very good at finding charges. If they hate you, they will find charges. It doesn't matter who the f you are. They will find charges. These random ICE agents aren't gods. They're not the president. They're just random people, losers.
Within the next week or so, and we saw that those new cages that they were working on. The demographic, this facility is all males over the age of 18. It is a mix of people. There are a lot of people there who just have a civil offense or just something very low that they were picked up for, all the way up to people who have done, violent crimes and all in between. There is a wristband system when they arrive that they put on them to determine what kind of offense they had. Most of them being civil offenses and small offenses, and they do not have them segregated. It's just a big hodgepodge of people all put together. And I asked a few questions on mental health issues and on how people can seek mental health help. If they are, if I asked the company, there's a third-party company that's doing all the medical work. I'm looking through my notes to try to find
what a surprise. It's subcontracted. I bet they're getting paid a lot.
Name for you guys. The third-party company that's doing all the medical work, I asked them, how often are you asked by the people running the facility who might not be able to be put in the general population because of a mental health condition or because of this and that. They weren't able to answer the questions, and it looks like there's not a ton of communication.
Imagine if we were getting mugshots of unmasked ICE agents. Oh my God, I'd come so hard in my pants, dude. If some Dem senator with some real balls went down to California and marched into the facility, the federal detention facility down there in downtown, and it just led to a string of arrests as California Highway Patrol members followed him through and arrested people for looking at them funny.
On that front either. This leads me to another thing that I forgot to mention that I think is really important. This facility, when we first pulled up, it was mainly third-party security companies,
of course,
that were running the parking and the security.
You know what that means, by the way? That means the guards to Alligator Auschwitz don't even have any real authority. They're private security. They're not federal police. If you went up there with your goddamn marshals, there's nothing they could do.
All of this. Then we get into the facility. And when we were at the tent where all the cages are, the people holding us back and the people in there dealing with the detainees were from a third-party security company. We barely saw any federal agents, a few people from the National Guard, a few people who are trained law enforcement officers, but it was mainly essentially cops for hire.
Because it's all kickbacks to private security firms. The whole purpose is to transfer money from FEMA's budget for helping people who get hit by hurricanes to private security and other private contractors.
Different than the people who wand you, if you were to go into a concert or go to a sports game. And these are a lot of the folks who are dealing with the detainees, transporting them around the facility, and are essentially running the whole thing. So this is also a huge source of taxpayer money just going to corporations, but also...
What's the difference between them and a normal civilian? Private security are normal civilians. They're normal civilians. They're just regular ass people. They're nothing. If you're a member of Congress, they're nothing. They have absolutely nothing. They cannot, they just have a job. They have no legal authority.
What worries me too is these people do not have the training you need to run a facility like this.
Richard Luscombe, I'll go ahead and pass it to you next.
Hi, Congressman. It's Richard Luscombe with The Guardian. Thanks for this opportunity. Safe travels home. You've actually answered a lot of my questions just in this last bit. I was going to ask what uniforms people were wearing, who were the people doing the guarding. You covered some of that. You said you saw some National Guards, some evidence of federal folks there. In the response to the lawsuit from the environmental groups, the feds were denying anything to do with it. This is all simply a state operation. The state's funding it has nothing to do with us. But you said there were some federal folks there. Do you know who they were, what they were doing, and what role did you see the National Guard playing? Thank you.
It's completely a lie, and this is the problem: is the state is being ambiguous on purpose because of this lawsuit and because of other things as well. They hesitate to say it's a federal detention center run by the state because then they would have to let us in without any kind of announcement. And so we were told that yes, there are ICE agents there every day, and the ICE agents, I was told this directly from the guy.
It is a federal facility. If there are federal officers that are there and they denied state officers the right to be there, but then they had to roll out the welcoming wagon for Maxwell Frost, it's a federal facility. It doesn't matter what they say. The fact that they were willing to bar state officials, but not Frost, they had to acquiesce and give him some kind of tour, shows it right there. He could come back with marshals.
The whole thing, that ICE tells them exactly what to do. They told them how to put everything together. They gave them the instructions on how to do the cages, on the food, on who's coming in, who's coming out. It's ICE making all the decisions, and he was very clear that the role the state is playing is a logistical role, which is running the operation of the facility. This is a federal facility, and so we'll be jotting this all down too and putting it out officially so people can understand the conversations I had and that we all had in the place. But I can tell you, every other question we asked, it always ended with, "This is what ICE told us to do."
Cameron Stevenson, I'll pass to you next.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Congressman.
Would coming back with marshals allow the press to get in? I don't think that the legal right to oversight allows you to bring press in. That being said, it would be like a huge nuts on the table moment to show up with a bunch of marshals, private security, and also members of the Associated Press and say, no, we are going to do oversight, actually. I don't think this is top secret. No such clearance has been designated. You're going to open up now, or my guards are going to open the door for me and you're getting arrested. It would be a nuts on the table moment. The congressperson could record their phone. Yeah, that as well.
For taking the time. I got kind of a two-part question. First, do you know if they have started any deportation flights out of that facility?
What we heard is that no, not yet. But it seems like there might have been some to bring people in. Everyone who's been here, everyone who's been at this facility has been there for about a week, except today when we went into the intake area. There was I would peg it at maybe 30 or 40 people going through the process to come into the facility. We were also told by Kevin Guthrie, who's running the facility, that people will not be there any longer than 2 weeks. That is the max amount of time that they're saying that anyone would spend in the facility.
Probably shouldn't believe them on that.
Which, by the way, if it wasn't a federal facility and it was just a state jail or a state facility, that means they would be holding the detainees under an ICE detainer, which is just a few days, not 2 weeks. So that's just another point that shows you that they're under ICE custody and the operations being run by the state.
Okay. Now my quick follow-up to that is just, since they're holding them, for 2 weeks, they haven't started the flights yet. Are they being booked, processed, and being put into the court system, or do you know if they're avoiding that so they can just?
They're avoiding it, and actually, State Representative Escamani had a conversation.
I don't know. I appreciate what Maxwell Frost is doing here, but it does bother me a little bit that he's calling it an internment camp, and he's talking about it with the same tone he would talk about like a waterfront development that's behind schedule on construction. Again, like he's like a young Dem, but like I don't understand the tone at all. Like I feel I'm so much more alarmed by all of this, and I'm not in Congress. And if I was in Congress talking to journalists about this, I would be losing my shit. You don't hate the Democrats enough. Not necessarily Maxwell Frost, I mean, but like the performative weakness is so exhausting. It's so exhausting. It's so tiring to have to observe. Like a lot of the people in chat, I bet a lot of you didn't know this about the Federal Authority of Oversight. I bet you didn't realize how like absolute it is. It's very absolute. It's not like a suggestion. If you see someone close the door in your face, like to a member of Congress who's attempting to exercise federal oversight, that's like somebody closing the door of your house in your face. You can get in there. You can make a mess getting in there. That's your house. They have a legal right to be there. You have a legal right to be in your house. It's an authority that they choose to shirk time and time again, and every time they do so, they give more power over to the right. And now a lot of people don't even know. Now a lot of people aren't even aware. They're not aware of the fact that Trump having the presidency doesn't actually give him infinity super duper power over everything. You don't have to be appointed to an oversight role / committee first. Nope. All members of Congress have this right. There are certain types of oversight that people with those specific committee positions might get to exercise, but the role to oversee federal facilities is given to all in Congress. Only in their districts, right? They are U.S. Congress people. Their district is the United States of America. That's their jurisdiction. They're not state officials. Their power is federal. Federal oversight. Any facility, any time. They show up, they get in. This shit used to mean something. Is there any way to kindly ask them to do their jobs? Well, the best thing that we can do is get people with figurative balls in Congress, which is one of the reasons why I've been asking people to quickly phone bank for Deha Fox so that the 25-year-old Zoomer can win in Arizona 7 and not the AIPAC-affiliated daughter of the previous incumbent. So I'm gonna drop that at the end of this long meandering segment. But the election is in like 3 days. So if you have any free time, and you do, I know you're a loser. You don't need to lie to me, okay? This is a safe space for your poorly developed social skills, okay? This is a great opportunity for you to A, do something with your time that isn't jerking off and playing Uma Musume, and B, exercise your social skills a bit. Get your ass in there, okay? I mean it. I'm not joking, okay? Do you have any idea how funny it would be if a 25-year-old who joined the race that late ended up beating out the daughter of the incumbent in a special election? The race is close by current polling. Get your ass in there. Are House of Representative members allowed to do this? I mean, they're members of Congress. So yes. Honestly, you're right. Leaving chat, gonna go phone bank for 10 to 15 minutes before continuing packing. Yeah, that's the kind of energy I like to see. What are you people doing with your lives right now? Nothing. You're worthless. You're just as worthless as these f***s in Congress. You get mad at Democratic Congress members for not exercising their power to make change, and then you go ahead and don't exercise your power to make change? Unforgivable. Click the link. I'm cleaning my room. No, you're not. You're thinking about cleaning your room, and every 5 minutes you move one object from one place to another. You're not actively doing it. If you were, you wouldn't have had time to type, and you wouldn't have had the interest to stop cleaning a room to type. I'm at work. Work is unimportant. Quit your job and phone bank.